Welcome to NYMLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
Welcome back to a new episode of NYMLB Talk with your host, Chris and Rob. What's going on, Rob?
Hey, Chris, how's everything going there in Yankee land?
Doing much better, man. We're doing better. I think you guys too. At least we got some good positive things to talk about today. I'm looking forward to it. I was going into yesterday's games for both of us. We were, they were the rubber games. So if we both lost, it would have been like, another series lost. But we both did pretty well, and some good news from players that were struggling a little bit. So anyway, let's start with the Mets because I watched that game as well. So let's hear about the Mets Arizona series.
Yeah, it was a good series. The Mets won the series, and if you could believe it, the season series between the Mets and Diamondbacks is already over, and they split it 3-3, which is good. Arizona's a good team. I would like to see the Mets take that series, but whatever. They took this series in Arizona, and Soto is finally starting to hit. It looks like he's starting to break out of it. Yesterday, he had 2 solo home runs. And it looks like he's starting to feel better at the plate, starting to hit better. Maybe he's taking that pressure off of himself. You saw the game. You know him from the Yankees, his Yankee days last year. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at his at-bats, they look the same as last year when he was with the Yankees. He looked fine. Even the series before against St. Louis, he had a couple of shots that could have been home runs, right? He just missed it.
Yeah.
So, like we've been saying, it's just a matter of time before this guy wakes up. Someone posted it earlier. His last 19 games, he's batting .300 with a .950 OPS, 5 doubles, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 21 hits, 15 runs scored. So, you know what? That's Juan Soto, right? I mean, this is the guy. It's only gonna get better, the average. So don't look at that, right now. But he's gonna be right around 300 by the end of the season. So think of it this way: he's gonna be really good from now until the end of the season, right? That's how I look at it for him.
Yeah, I mean, all these people, a lot of Yankee fans. I guess it's because of hurt feelings. Hi to Joe Dell, by the way. Who is out there listening, one of our biggest fans. But, those Yankee fans, I could see the hurt feelings and, the way they feel about it. And it started in the beginning of the season where they were saying Ben Rice is better than Soto and all that stuff. I mean, come on. And we said, worry about the Yankees. Rice is a good young player. Hey, he was fun to watch play in the beginning of the season, right? Yeah. And he's got a good future, I think. But he's not Juan Soto. Juan Soto, I wasn't worried about him. You weren't worried about him. And now he's starting to come through. And there's, anyone else who's still out there bitching about this, forget about it. He's going to be the Juan Soto everybody's used to.
Yeah, he's a guy that you don't have to worry about, right? He's going to hit the way he normally does. Doesn't matter, right? The guy's going to be fine. Like Chris said on the last show, look at the back of Soto's. Exactly. That's what he's going to do, right? It's a little different when we flip over to the Yankees side with Devin Williams, right? Because we've seen this happen, especially with pitchers in the Bronx, right? It's going to happen. But I also think he's going to shake out of it too. I do. Last night, he's starting to ease towards the good side. What's amazing is that he's already given up more runs than he's given up the last 2 years combined. Isn't that incredible? That's how good this guy is.
I know.
Right?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Listen, it could. Yesterday, he got out of that jam. All right, he had the bases loaded, and he got out of it. I watched that also, and that shows me that he's going to be all right. I'm pretty sure, he maybe had some jitters. It is tough coming to New York from Milwaukee, where there's really the press is so different, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not asking him tough questions like why'd you stink tonight? You know what I mean? Like New York media is then they don't let you off the hook with I just didn't have it tonight. No. We want to know why you stink and why you haven't pitched well for the first month of the year, right? So but yeah, I'm hoping that was a good step. Just like with Soto, just ran off those numbers. He's gonna be fine. Trust me, there's gonna be other things for our teams to be worried about in the next month or two before the trade deadline comes, and we're going to be talking about, the Mets got to add this, the Yankees got to add that. So, and like I said, Soto's the least of the Mets problems. Devin Williams, yeah, he's still a problem for the Yankees. We got to see more of this, in more games. It can't be just once and be like, oh yeah, he's back, but at least the confidence looks like it's back. So let's hope this is a good turn for the better for him. So we'll see. But anyway, so the Mets played the D-backs, 3-game series, won the first. Second game, Gallen pitched great. He's great against you guys too, right? He is a really good pitcher. I think he's a free agent too after this year. So that'll be interesting to see where he goes. But what do you think overall this series with the Mets outside of Soto?
No, I think it was a good series. Listen, the pitching was good. Senga's been pitching really, really good. His ERA is 1.16, which is great. He's, after not pitching practically all of last year and getting hurt when he came back, and then just making brief appearances in the postseason, he's pitching lights out. So I'm very happy with him. But another pitcher I am happy with, relief pitcher, is Brazoban. He has a 1.21 ERA. That guy, it took him so long to really get to the major leagues, and he was wild. He was walking a lot of people, really not the greatest. And all of a sudden this year, so far, he's putting it together for the Mets.
Yeah, you can see that guy's got great stuff. It's just a matter of, just having good control. But he's got really good stuff, man, for a reliever. That's a great weapon at the back end. But you guys got some bad news this week, right? With Minter. We actually talked about it, that he just had a strain or something, but now he's getting Tommy John, right?
Yeah, he's done for the season, and we know what that means half of next season too. So that's a big blow to the bullpen. These other guys got to come through, and then we'll see what happens if the Mets eventually have to make a move. But right now, everything's all right. That's, it's a big blow, but what are you going to do? That happens. Every year someone gets hurt, and, either in the bullpen, a starting pitcher, as or someone in the field, and it hurts. But you just have to deal with it. It happens to all the clubs.
Yeah, I say it all the time. It's not a matter of with injuries, is it going to happen? It's definitely going to happen. It's how your team responds to that, or how your team is built to respond to that, right? Like the depth that you guys got. You got a really good bullpen, so should be okay. And then you know what? You get to the trade deadline. If you're just looking for another bullpen arm, if that's the main thing that you're looking for, that's pretty good. I mean, listen, every team is going to be looking for an extra arm or two, right? You never have enough pitching, no matter what. So it's going to happen. But listen, if you could stay healthy as much as you can until the trade deadline and make you move then we'll see.
Yeah,
and definitely. Jonathan is back with us. Thanks for joining us again, Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan's pretty cool because he did think the Yankees were going to get bashed by the Padres, and now he came on and he said Yanks played great versus the Padres. So yeah, you're right, Jonathan. They did, and I'm glad that you came back to join us.
Yes, and you know what? He did say Rodon was going to get bombed by the Padres, and Rodon threw 7 scoreless innings in that first game, even though we lost that game because the bullpen, thanks to Devin Williams, he was still bad then. But thankfully he got good in the last game. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a great series for for the Mets to take 2 out of 3 on the road against a pretty good team. Arizona is a pretty good team. We're talking about them. They're probably going to be in the playoffs or without a doubt, fighting for that wild card spot. I don't know if they're going to win their division, but they're definitely going to be fighting for that wild card spot. That whole division, we're talking about it. Like before we jump to the Yankees, like, do you think a team out of that top 4 of the National League West, do you see a team going to eventually kind of come down to earth a little bit? Or do you think these guys are going to be all like 90 win teams? All 4 teams are going to be in the playoffs. What do you think is going to happen in that?
I don't know if all 4 teams be in the playoffs, but right now they're all staying together in that pack. The Dodgers are starting to play like the Dodgers again. They have 25 wins, right? They're 25-12. San Diego, even though they lost 2 to the Yankees, they're 23-13, but they're only a game and a half out of first place. San Francisco, which is a surprise, 24-14. They're also 1.5 games out. And then Arizona, 19-18. Arizona is a good ball club, but if I think any of those four teams are going to fall out of it, it might be Arizona. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say it's either them or the San Fran. Can San Fran keep this up? Robbie Ray is 5-0 in his 8 games. He's pitching great, pitching like he won the Cy Young a couple of years ago. Logan Webb is just solid every year. But the rest of that rotation, Verlander, I mean, he is what he is at this stage at 42 years old. He's 0-2. Jordan Hicks still, he became a starter last year. He's still not great. 6 ERA. That's the only thing that bothers me about that team. I think bullpen wise, they're going to be solid, but starting rotation after the top 2 gets me a little nervous. So I don't know if they're going to last. And the offense, I mean, looking at the offense too, I mean, what's his name? Jung Ho Lee's playing great. 301. Adames is starting to hit. Finally, he's up to 230, but I don't know. I just, if I'm worried about one of those 4 teams, it would be the Giants.
Okay, that makes sense. It could be either the Giants or Arizona. And what's with Vilmer Flores too?
Jesus, I guess he loves playing in San Fran. I mean, he's playing great. I mean, right now, what's his numbers right now? 7 home runs, 33 RBIs. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. So, like we said, it's fun to watch the National League West right now, and I think it's just going to continue to be fun. And the only downfall in that division is Colorado, who still has only won 6 games. Could you imagine? That's 2 series,
right?
Total,
exactly. What's the date? May 8th, and they got 6 wins, right? And then we've played 30 games.
Yeah, and we played about 35 games, and they're 18 games out of first place. 18 games. Who's gonna go watch them? It's every game's gonna be an away game for them if this keeps up.
People it's sad. They got a great stadium. They got great fans in Colorado. It's a great sports town, and you're gonna have to sit through that all year. And I think at this point you got to, keep your core players that you have. There's not many, but you keep those guys and just move on from who you can and just start rebuilding it. And listen, if they should get a different GM in there that knows how to rebuild a team, because who they have there now, I don't think really has a plan, right? When I every offseason, it seems like the Rockies have like no plan. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do. So I don't know. They're a mess right now.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of teams like that too. I mean, we're going to talk about that in a bit, but also the Pittsburgh Pirates too. They're another one. It's just they do nothing. They do nothing on the off season.
Right. They spend no money, and it shows. Think of the Pirates. The Pirates don't even have $100 million in payroll. Just to show you a comparison, when you compare them to the Yankees have more on their IL list in payroll than the Pirates have for their whole team.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's incredible.
what are they doing with the revenue sharing money? You know, what's going on with
Right
all
back
that?
in their pocket.
You know, and for them not to build around one of the best young pitchers in baseball, Paul Skeens, and also O'Neal Cruz, it's just ridiculous.
I know they're becoming an embarrassment. Yeah, I did see that video, Jonathan. The usher using his belt, fighting the fan. I mean, that guy's definitely has no job. I don't care what that guy was saying to him. You know what? You
Yeah.
just got to be the better man and just walk away. I'm sure it wasn't good. I'm sure the guy deserved a beating. I'm sure, but you know what? It's not worth losing your job over, because that guy definitely lost his job over that.
Yeah, you lose your job over something like that, and then you could have charges pressed against you. So it's really stupid, and terrible. That's just a terrible thing to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And then just looking at the Yankees series, like going into the San Diego series, yeah, it looks like a tough series. Game 1, though, Rodon 7 innings, shutout ball. They were up 3-0 going into the 8th, and then they brought in Williams, and we know what happened there. Loaded the bases up, and then they brought in Weaver. Weaver gave up 2 quick hits, lost the lead, and then that was that. So the first game, but they came back in the second game. I mean, offense finally wakes up. 12 runs, a bunch of home runs. Austin Wells, grand slam, tops off that big, 10-run inning, 9-run inning. So, yeah, they looked much better the second game. And then yesterday's game was awesome. I mean, it was a close game, all game. Cease was throwing a no-hitter through, was it 6 innings did he get through? No hits?
Yeah, I think it was 6. It was 6 innings. I think.
Yeah. And then Rice tied it up. It was 1-0 going into the 7th. Rice tied it up in the 7th. I mean, this was a really good game. And this was one of those games that they could look back on and be like, you know what? Hopefully it was the turning point. I mean, the team has always been pretty solid anyway, but to come back against one of the best teams in baseball, one of the best bullpens in baseball, to come back and beat that team like that, that was pretty good. National TV as well. They were on MLB Network.
Yeah.
I think that was good. And like we were talking about earlier with Devin Williams, he looked really good last night. Wasn't perfect, but you know what? He threw the goose egg up there. That's all he has to do when you're a relief pitcher, right? Just throw up the 0 and hope that your team could come back and win it in the next inning. And they did, and they win it. And the way they won it was great. They bunted over the run it to third and then a sac fly. Like, it wasn't the big home run. They weren't looking for the big hit. They just had to manufacture one run, and it was awesome. It was great to see.
Yeah, and Williams, like you said, he just a little shaky, but he got out of the bases loaded. He saves the game. We'll have to see what he looks like. The key, what I want to see, and I know a lot of other people out there want to see this. I want to see in the Subway Series with the Mets. I want to see him pitch to Alonso.
I don't know if I want to
on
see
the
that.
line. They might not let him do that, right?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of want to see it, but then I don't, because if he goes against him and gives up another home run, I think he's going to be shot the rest of the year, right? Because the confidence is going to go. But if he could face Alonso and get him out, that might, flip the switch and on Williams, like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't own me. I'm, maybe it'll be a confidence builder, but it could go both ways though. Like, it could be extreme bad or extreme really good going against Alonso. And the way Alonso's hitting, I mean, let's give that guy some credit too. I mean, he's gonna right now he would be I think the NL MVP, right?
And even the outs, even his outs are hard. They're stealing some hits from him and a home run. Yeah, I do want to see a rematch of Alonso and Williams, but I want to see Alonso crush a home run off of him, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, if that ever happened, you're right. I think that would probably destroy him for the rest of the season at least.
Yep. And right now, think about it. Alonso's leading the league in doubles, RBIs, on base, OPS plus. I mean, he's doing great. I mean, give this guy his flowers, whatever. I mean, can he keep up 328 all season? I don't know. I'm not going to say he can. The history, his baseball history shows us no. But listen, maybe he's turned the corner. Maybe he's just become more, patient up there. He's not swinging at everything. And I mean, good for him. And this is the kind of season he needed last season, right?
Yeah.
I think if he had this season last season, we wouldn't have went through what we went through this offseason with him. And when is he going to sign? It took him forever to sign. And, he took a deal that's probably not what he wanted. So if he continues this, he's going to opt out and get himself a nice contract this offseason.
See, he is going to opt out. So that should, come the All-Star break, that should have the Mets thinking, maybe we should talk to Pete during the season. Let's not go through the postseason like last year. Is this going to be Alonso's last at bat as a Met? Let's not go through the offseason where no one knows what's going on. Just pay the man, especially if he's tearing it up by the All-Star game. Let negotiate with him. Let's get him signed, and then let's just move on.
And you know what? It'll be telling too, because if he's still having a really good season, it doesn't even have to be 328. It could be, just under 300 and still smacking the home runs out. If he's having that good of a season in July, even August, and they don't, try to sign him, I think that's a sign that they're not going to sign him in the offseason, because it'll just be much more money in the offseason, right? Because now you can have other teams saying, oh, you know what, this guy turned the corner. Let's sign this guy. Let's give him a 5-6 year deal. I think the Mets should do it quick. Get this guy, lifelong Met, whatever, career Met. I think just make it happen. And the fans love him. It's not like he's not a fan favorite. He's one of the most popular Mets on the team. I mean, why not sign him?
Yeah, and batting behind Soto, he's loving it.
Yeah,
he's loving it. So sign the man. That's what I say. Just sign him.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, from the Mets, unless they see something differently than what we're seeing, maybe their numbers are not, whatever. But it looks pretty darn good to me. So I'd be shocked if they don't. But we'll see. I know Stearns probably doesn't want to sign him no matter what. I'll say it that way. But Cohen would have to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, and you know what?
He might be right, because he's 30 now. How old is Alonso?
Yeah, Jonathan might be right. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a gamble. And if Cohen wants him, Cohen will sign him. The market right now hasn't changed, but let's see what happens towards the All-Star game. I mean, if he just tears it up, who knows? Like you talked about this, Chris. Seattle, you wondered why Seattle didn't go after him, right? And although Seattle right now, I mean, they're in first place. Could you imagine if Seattle had Alonso the way he's playing right now?
Yeah, exactly. It would definitely change them a lot. I mean, then they would have that big bat in the lineup. I mean, I know they got, Kyle Raleigh, their catcher's having a great season, Crawford bouncing back, and Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, maybe, you know what? Yeah, you put Alonso in the middle of that lineup. Yeah, it's a lot better for sure. Yeah, the league doesn't pay first baseman. You're right. Just look at what, I think we talked about with Freeman, what Freeman got and what Olsen got, and now you got Alonso. He's going to be 31 in December.
Yeah.
So that's you got to remember. So how far do you go with him? A 5-year deal? I don't know if he gets much more than 5 years. Maybe 6 at the most.
I don't even see 6. But you want to know something? Alonso's more important to the Mets than he is to other teams. So that's another thing you have to take into consideration.
Right. And I listen. If the Mets wait, I think until the offseason, it might be a sign that they don't want to sign him. And like I said, I don't think the GM wants to sign him. I think Stearns wants to sign him. He's not that type of player that Stearns would sign, right? Especially to a long-term deal. But we'll see. You know what? Cohen's got the final say. He could say, nope, I want this guy to retire a Met. I want to retire his number and all that good stuff. So maybe he does, give him a 4-year deal, get him to 35, 36, whatever it's going to be. And that'll be that. So that'll be interesting to see going forward,
Yeah, definitely. So we'll just see what happens, Chris. But What about the Yankees' upcoming series?
Yeah, they got Oakland, and then they got Seattle coming up. Oakland's been playing really good. They got 6-game road trip now on the West Coast. Now you got the A's, who have been playing really good so far. They're 20-18. They're like a game less than the Yankees, if you want to look at them that way. Their last 20 games, they're 12-8. Last 30, 17-13. So, but yeah, I mean, this is a really good young team. We kind of gave them a little bit of credit in the offseason before. We gave them a little bit, like maybe they'll stay in that wild card race for most of the season. And it looks like they might, like they went out, they signed Severino, right? We made a big deal about that they signed him. So I think it's going to be a tough series playing in Sacramento, right? They're playing in that Little League ballpark, but minor league ballpark, excuse me. But
almost a Little League ballpark.
Right, it's close. It's close. It's so strange. It's so strange. Like, it's amazing. And we got two teams doing that, right? With Tampa playing in the Yankees minor league place too. So it makes no sense.
And we were joking about it, Chris. What if one of those two teams makes the postseason? But it's not impossible. And what's going to happen? Say the A's make the postseason. What are they going to do? There's no way they could play postseason games at that small stadium. They'll lose money.
Yep. And Tampa right now, they're in third place in the East, and the A's are in second place in the West. So they both could make the playoffs. As crazy it is, listen, I don't think they both will. I think at most one will. But listen, it'll be like you said too. Are they going to really play in Sacramento in a playoff game?
No.
Are they going to let that happen? I don't know. I really don't know.
There's no way they could. There's no way they could let that happen. How could they? There's not enough seats. I mean, that it would just look ridiculous. But listen, you never know with Major League Baseball and this commissioner. You never know what's going to happen. So
exactly,
we'll just have to see.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be. Listen, it's going to be a tough 6 games for the Yankees going against the A's, and then the Mariners. The Mariners they're even better, right? They're 22-14. It's their best start since I wrote it down 2003. They've won 7 straight series this season. They're playing really good. Listen, I'm still not. I still don't think they're going to win that division. I still think Texas is going to turn it around. But you know what? This team is getting a lot from Cal Raleigh. Like I said, the catcher leading the league in home runs. Rosarena, excuse me, is there. Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
JP Crawford's bounced back. They got Rowdy Tellez, the former Pirate. So I don't know if this is going to be. I don't think this is going to, last much longer. Their pitching is great. That you got to say. Starting rotation's great. Bullpen is really good. So that's what keeps them afloat. If they could score some runs and their pitching is that good, they'll be fine. And it's going to be tough. But the Yankees do well in this new Seattle ballpark. In the Kingdom, they usually had a tough time, but. In this new stadium, they've had some pretty good luck so far. So I think they'll be okay. But again, anything could happen, especially this early in the season. We're talking about how good these teams are and how bad these teams are. It's only the first month of the season, right? This is not who a lot of these teams are going to be by the end of the season. I think by the time, I think this too. I think by the time we get to Memorial Day, that's when you start seeing, right, the real teams start to pop up. You start, okay, this team, like if Seattle is still on this streak and how well they're playing, if they're doing it for another month, then I'll start taking them a little more serious, But until then, we'll see. The same thing with the A's. The A's are going to be there, But let's see if Texas could turn it around over there in the West. But I feel pretty good, though. As a Yankee fan, I feel pretty good. The team's getting healthier. That's the important thing. Pitching, the bottom 2 spots is still going to be a question mark. So we'll see. They DFA'd Carrasco, so we'll see where this goes with him. Yeah.
Yep. And the Mets, Chicago's coming into Citi Field, where the Mets have really just been unbeatable in Citi Field. And I like Friday night's matchup. It's going to be Clay Holmes pitching for the Mets, and he's so far, you cannot complain about Clay Holmes. 4-1 with a 2.95 ERA. And the Mets at Citi Field this year, just amazing. It's like they do not lose at home. The crowds for this early in the season, the crowds have been pretty big at Citi Field, Chris. Pretty big with the weather, cold weather, and it's been like a playoff atmosphere all so far. In April. And it's going to continue if the Mets win. So I think the Chicago series, though, Chicago's good. They're in first place, obviously. So I think that's going to be tough. But after the Cubs, the Mets have Pittsburgh coming in, and that's when the Mets have got to just destroy Pittsburgh.
Yes,
I
totally agree.
Especially what's going on with Pittsburgh. We had some news today, right?
Yeah, they did fire their manager. But it's pretty sad. Like, this guy's not a miracle worker, right? He's not going to turn that team into a winning team. I mean, and I said it earlier, their payroll is less than what the Yankees have on their injured list right now. That's how little payroll. They're not even $100 million in payroll. That's embarrassing for Major League Baseball. This is why the talk about the cap and all that, they need a floor at the very least. They need these teams to spend money. It's a joke that they're doing this. It's sad. Yeah. Is he a Cubs fan? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out this year if he's a Cubs fan or not, right?
Listen, he grew up in Chicago, right? So chances are he is a Cub fan. If he is, the Mets better watch out.
Yeah, and listen, if he's a White Sox fan, he'll probably never admit it right now. So
yeah, that's
I don't
true.
think he'll just say I'm a Chicago fan. I root for all Chicago teams, So, but
that's it. But Pittsburgh firing the manager, it's really not his fault, of course. Their payroll is, like you said, how low can you go? What are you doing with this revenue sharing money? And, 6 years, he was manager for 6 years, right? His record, 306 wins, 440 losses. Think about that. And he never won more than 76 games. So now bench coach Don Kelly is going to be the interim manager. What's going to change with him as interim manager? Nothing.
Probably not much. I mean, what can change, right? The players are still there, and there's still nothing in that lineup. So, their starting rotation, obviously with Skeens there, is still pretty solid. They got good young rotation. So that part's not bad. The bullpen is okay, but that lineup just doesn't scare you. I mean, O'Neal Cruz, good young player. Brian Reynolds. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but that lineup is not doing nothing for that team. They needed to add bats to that lineup, and they did nothing. You spend under $100 million. What do you expect? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful ballpark. The fans out there are just, aching for a winner. It's a shame because the Pirates of the 70s, We Are Family, Stargell, all those guys, they were great teams. And now, Pittsburgh hasn't been in the postseason in how long? It's just ridiculous. And it's sad. It's sad for the fans. How could you get people to come out to the ballpark like that? You got to spend some money.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And then you have, then you have the fans doing some crazy stuff there, like the guy falls out of the stands.
Yeah, that was pretty sad.
He breaks his back, injures his neck. He almost dies, at a pitch.
He's lucky he's young. He's lucky he's a young kid. If he was older, forget it.
We talked about that.
Right?
Yeah, we talked about that. So, these teams may, Chris, you might be right. They might need instead of a ceiling, a basement
at
or
least,
a lower floor.
Right. They got to do something. They got to, because they can't let these teams, or if you're going to put like the salary tax on if you spend a certain amount, we're going to tax you. You know what?
Yeah.
They should do it for the bottom guys too. Like if you don't spend 150 million at least on your salary, then we're gonna, take a draft pick away, or we're gonna move your draft pick down 20 spots. Something you got to do something to these teams, or they don't get the revenue share. It's something there's got to be some kind of penalty for doing this, because this is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. You see how quick things change if they say they won't get revenue sharing. Then you'll see what happens. But right now, the system they have to fix it. They definitely do. I had a poll. I had a fun little poll this week, by the way. It was a stupid little poll, and a couple people said, "Let me know that it's stupid," but it wasn't done seriously. Right. The poll was, who is baseball's best mascot or favorite mascot? And Mr. Met actually won with 47%. The Philly Fanatic finished last with 19%, and the San Diego Chicken second with 34%. It was a silly poll, but it just goes to show you everybody hates Philadelphia and the Fanatic, except for the Philly.
I would say, I think that's going to be most fans. I would have picked. I think I did pick the San Diego Chicken is probably the most famous one, right? He was probably one of the first ones back in the day. So, listen, being a Yankee fan, we don't have a mascot. We had it for that 1 year, as we see in the beginning of our show. But thankfully they got rid of that guy or whatever it was. So, but I don't know. It is what it is, right? I see a lot of other teams have it.
That mascot actually was Scooter, and he wasn't even from the big league team. He was from the Staten Island Yankees. So it's just, that our opening is going to change soon. So that'll disappear soon.
Yeah.
And we have some pretty wild news out of Italy, Chris.
What's the news, Rob?
They actually love us in Italy. Apple Podcasts has ratings, believe it or not. And they have ratings for different countries. And in Italy, our show, out of 100 baseball shows in Italy, the top 100, we're number 49 in Italy. So, I mean, to me, that's just mind-blowing.
Thank you, Italy.
We're doing better than Justin Verlander's brother Ben's flipping bats with Ben Verlander's show, which is unbelievable. And we're doing better than ex-Met Trevor May's show. So I guess people in Italy like listening to us. I don't know.
Hey,
maybe it's
not just the Italian fans. We like all of our fans that have been supporting us right over these first few months that we've had our show. Thank you for hanging in with us. And listen, we're just going to get better. We're going to have more guests on coming up, just hanging out. But thank you for coming on. And listen, just like Jonathan has been talking with us, come on the show with us. If we're on, you're more than welcome to join us. Any fan, Yankee, Met, or any other fan. Yeah. We've already had an Oriole fan, Nationals fan. So we're open. We're open for business for any fan. So it's all good. But Joe Dell's our other great fan. He's always watching us, but it's awesome. Yeah. I can't talk Italian, so I'm Italian, but I cannot talk. I'd like to learn one day, and hopefully I can, but no, but I do it. It's cool.
When I was in Italy for about a month, I picked some stuff up, but I forgot it. All right, other stuff that's been going on. Okay, this is actually something that was brought up on Twitter/X. With the Yankees pitching woes and everything, and people were talking about it. And someone said, why don't the Yankees sign Trevor Bauer? Okay. Ooh. Why don't they? I know you. So, Chris, why don't they try Trevor Bauer out? What do you think about that?
Well, I think number one, I was like, you gotta get the elephant in the room, obviously, is off the field, whatever went on, right? Whatever happened. Okay. And I think there's more to this story that we know, because no team signing him for the league minimum just tells you that they obviously know more than we do, right? And it's obviously worse than what we know. And no team wants to take a chance and trying to sign him. And then what if more stuff comes out about him? And now he's Trevor Bauer Yankee or Trevor Bauer Met or Trevor Bauer, whatever team. Now he's a former Dodger, former Red, whatever he was, right? So you don't want to be attached to that in any way if anything more comes out. So that's one. Number two, just look at it from on the field, right? He's now 30. He's now 34 years old. Okay. He hasn't pitched since 2021 in the major leagues. So it's been almost 4 full years now that he hasn't pitched in the major leagues. Yeah, he might look good in the Mexican League or Japanese League or the Korean League, wherever he's pitching. He might look good there, but it's not the major leagues. So I think that's the other thing. Is a team looking at him saying, all right, yeah, he's looking great against that Mexican team or the Mexican players, or he's looking good there, but that's not the major leagues. I don't know. I just think it's more the off the field stuff than more the on the field stuff, because we see guys getting, like we see Stroman getting out there or Carrasco. They got jobs. Well, not Carrasco anymore, but they have jobs, and Bauer can't be worse than those guys, right? So on the field, he probably could hold his own. He may not be the Cy Young that he was a few years ago, but he could probably be a bottom of the rotation guy. I just don't think they want any of that off the field, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is, but maybe it's that stuff that's keeping teams away.
Okay, what pro people are saying, though, is that he was never charged with anything. He settled. He had a lawsuit against the woman who accused him. They both were suing each other. They settled that without any money being exchanged, whatever that means. I don't know how you settle that, but whatever happened. And also now she's had her, some trouble too, with other problems. So I don't know if he, whatever he did, and then he finally admitted that he's made some mistakes, whatever that means. Okay, so I feel he probably would be bad in the clubhouse. He's 33. Listen, if he pitched pretty good in Japan. And Japan, I mean, is pitching good in Japan. Yeah, 34. Okay, it's better than pitching good in Mexico, obviously.
Right.
But Japan is closer to the major leagues. So I don't know, but Mookie Betts said that he wished that another team would give him a chance, and that he really is a good guy. This is what Mookie Betts said. So I don't know. I haven't really heard too many other players, say much about him. So it's probably because, like you said, some of these teams they don't want to just be named with him. Don't want Bauer with their name, like you said, former Dodger, former Indian, former Yankee or Met. I guess you're right.
I think that's what it is. I don't think they want any part of whatever happened or didn't happen, right? I think that's what it comes down to. Otherwise, I think, a team, you can name whatever team you want, because every team is always looking for another pitcher, right? So I think that's what's stopping a lot of these teams from signing him. And maybe that was an agreement by the league and said, listen, let's not get this guy anywhere near the major leagues. Nobody go out and sign him, right? Don't even have any, don't have him as a tryout. Just he's out. That's it. Maybe that's what they're thinking is. I don't know. But that's just my guess.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And we have some sad news. We just found out before the show that former Detroit Tiger, World Series champion and All-Star Chet Lemon passed away at the age of 70. I remember him, playing the World Series with the Tigers. He was a solid ball player. He was one of the faces of the Tigers at the time, a really good ball player.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was always a good, solid center fielder too. Good defense. Had a pretty good career. 3-time All-Star, won the World Series with the Tigers in '84. Led the league in doubles one year. Led the league in hit by pitch 4 times. 151 times in his career he got hit by a pitch. So
that's a lot.
Tough player. Going back to his Tiger, I remember the '84 World Series very well. Very good player. Very sad news. Only 70, so still a young guy. But, thoughts and prayers to his family and his friends and his loved ones for sure. Yeah, definitely sad news. And Jonathan had up Yankees try to sign Luis Urias. I don't know if he's a free agent, though. I think he's on the A's, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if he was cut or if that just happened. But listen, I don't know if they might think about signing him, if it was – I don't know what they're going to do. That's my question, like at third base. It's Cabrera's there, and I would rather have Cabrera come off the bench and be the utility guy. But you know what? For now, if this is what it's going to be, until another option opens up, maybe, in another month or two, we'll see teams start to kind of fall out of the playoff race. And, maybe early June, late June, early July, when teams start getting willing to trade guys, maybe that's what will happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably not going to happen, I would think. I don't think the Yankees are that desperate to sign, a guy that's not that good to begin with. And then, to have that attached to it. Now he's going to be Yankee player who was suspended for domestic violence coming, I don't know if teams really want that, that kind of thing attached to one of their players, if they can help it, Yeah. If this guy was good. You take a shot, but I don't know. I think they're going to add somebody. I just don't know who it's going to be. They had a chance to get Arenado, and they stayed away from him because he's got 3 years on his contract, so they didn't want to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It depends on who falls out of the playoff race, right? What team falls out, who's going to be available. If the Twins, maybe they'll be willing to trade Royce Lewis, but do you want to trade for a guy that's hurt all the time? Do you want to take a chance with him? I don't know. He's an awesome player when he's healthy, but again, when he's healthy, and unfortunately he does get hurt a lot. So, but we'll see, we'll see what happens in the next couple of months. But right now, listen, we're in first place, playing pretty good. Just got off beating San Diego 2 out of 3. Now we got a tough 6-game schedule, and then it's back home to play the Mets. So
yeah,
interesting.
That's what we're waiting for, Chris.
Yes. That's when we find it out.
And I want to make, I just want to make the announcement one more time. We're probably going to have a panel show after one of the Subway Series games. And if you're interested in coming on, or if any Met or Yankee fans are interested in coming on the show after one of the Subway Series games, just, get in touch with us. Let us know. We'd love to have you on, be part of the panel. Reach out to us. Yeah, we want to have a couple of Met fans and a couple of Yankee fans for the Subway Series on, and we'll have fun talking about the Subway Series.
Absolutely, it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe preview, maybe a game. Afterward the games. I'm whatever we could get would be great to do that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So we'll have that coming up. Do you have anything else before I just announce our next show?
Yeah, no, I just want to remind everybody to subscribe to the show right there. Just hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the podcast, check us out wherever you find your podcast. Subscribe there as well. So this way you'll get the new show when they come on, right? You get notified and all that. Once you subscribe, you're all hooked up. We'd love to have you on this show talking, just even commenting. So we want the fans to be a part of the show, because we're fans, you're fans. I think it'll be fun. So subscribe so you know when the show's coming on, and you can join us.
Yeah, and our next show is going to be Monday. That's going to be live on YouTube, but it's also going to be for the podcast. So that'll be Monday afternoon. We'll put out the reminder, and any suggestions from anyone also, just get in touch with us. And we're going to have guests coming on like we had in the off season. We have a bunch of guests that are going to come on. So we have a lot of fun and a lot of good shows coming on, Chris.
Yeah, just like what Jonathan did. brings us some questions or comments that we could comment on, we'll do it. We love doing that. We have our own stuff, but we'd love to hear from you guys. If you got a question you want us to discuss and you want to be a part of that discussion, then that's cool. But until then, we'll see you guys probably Monday, right?
Definitely. All right. See you Monday.
Take care.